Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. How the devil are you doing this fine day? Hope you're all fit and well. No need whatsoever to start the day with the weather report this morning because I did a quick check before I came on air, and apparently the temperatures are above zero pretty much everywhere, with the notable exception of bits of Scotland, apparently. There are, however, flood warnings in place across both England and Wales, so stay alert, people. Now, as you know, I've made a whole bunch of commitments for myself for 2024. I'm reading more, I'm writing more, and I'm actively avoiding consuming nonsense on social media, but I'm also committed to, wherever possible, delivering two new columns on our Demolition Insider website. I did one on Monday, as per usual, and just this morning I've published another. It's called All Take and Zero Give, and it explores how so much of the industry is now beholden to the whims and wishes of clients and tier one contractors. I'm just going to say good morning to our friend, I can't pronounce the name, but he's actually watching from Brazil. Good morning if you're watching from Brazil over on Instagram. Yes, the new article called All Take and Zero Give, looking at how we're now beholden. Basically, clients and tier one contractors have the whip hand. It also looks at why contracts are generally awarded to the lowest bidder, how clients then seek further discounts. It looks at retentions, and it looks at slow and non-payments as well. So, if all of that sounds like something that might get your goat or float your boat, or possibly a combination thereof, you can find it using the link that I'm about to post in the chat. Just need to get to the right place, which is, come along now, keep up, machine. Yes, you should be seeing that right about now in the chat. You won't be seeing it over on Instagram, but I'll be posting it there a bit later on. Jake Paddy 1, good morning, Mark. Good morning to you, sir. Thank you very much indeed for joining us over on Instagram. Now, I am going to say a very quick good morning to all the early risers over on the main part of this show, which is Dan Cullen, Gary Muirhead, Graham, Footy Williams, Chris Ford is here as well. Ken Hatcher's here. Jim Turner's here. In fact, pretty much the entire gang is all here. With that being said, how about we get things underway? I'm going to roll the intro, post the question of the day, and get this show on the road. Yeah, just going to say a very quick good morning to all those people that are watching us over on Instagram right now. This is only our third show broadcast live to Instagram, so still getting used to the system over there. Now, it is Wednesday, this 10th of January. Welcome to the Breakfast Show. I am your host, Mark Anthony. In today's show, the all-new Lokotrack crushers from Metso. Are they hot? Or are they not? Starting your working day with Bobcat tech. When it comes to demolition, Volvo thinks of everything, and the second life of a Liebherr wheeled excavator. Plus, we're going to do a spot of hopper toppling. But first, we're going to peer back through the mist of time to see what was happening on this very day in history. Just going to say a very quick good morning to the JCB Digger Girl who's just joined us over on Instagram. Good morning. Thank you for joining us. On this day in 1642, King Charles I fled London fearing for his life, and he didn't return for 7 years. Where did he hold up, do you think? Yep, Hampton Court, about 14 miles up the road. I realise it was a long time ago and travel wasn't exactly easy, but 14 miles? It's hardly a great hiding place, is it? In 1870, John D. Rockefeller founded Standard Oil. In 1952, the movie The Greatest Show on Earth, starring James Stewart, if I remember rightly, Jimmy Stewart, premiered in New York. In 1956, Elvis released Heartbreak Hotel, and exactly 2 years later, Jerry Lee Lewis released Great Balls of Fire. Well, goodness gracious. In 1990, China lifted martial law in the aftermath of the Tiananmen Square massacre. In 1999, the TV show The Sopranos premiered on US TV screens. And in 2018, Jeff Bezos, the bloke behind Amazon, became the second man to be worth more than $100 billion. That's billion with a B. I think my wife's responsible for most of that. The Amazon delivery driver seems to be here more often than I am. Also going to say a quick good morning to Weaver Demolition, who have just joined us over on Instagram. Thank you very much indeed for being here. And BK Waste Management as well. Thank you for joining us as well. Now, before we get into the real meat of the show, let me very, very quickly remind you of our question of the day. Yeah, our question of the day is quite simply, what is your favourite, ideally repeatable insult or put down? And I've got a heap. Don't think I've ever actually used any of these, but I've got a couple that I'm holding in reserve. One of which is the third on this list. So, if I said anything to offend you, it was purely intentional. Quite like that one. I refuse to have a battle of wits with an unarmed person. Really like that one. And my personal favourite, and I am holding this in reserve for a particular conversation. I'd love to explain it to you, but I have neither the time nor the crayons. But what about you? Do you have a favourite insult or a put down? Jake Paddy, Mark, have a good day. Catch up soon. God bless you and your family. Cheers for that, my friend. Thank you very much indeed for being here. Speak to you soon. Right. I'm going to throw this one up. Wasn't going to do these right away, but there you are. Dan Cullen, bloody Egypts or you donkeys. I actually quite like the clean ones. I remember watching Danny Dyer describing somebody as a melon. And I do think a melon is a really good put down. Now it is time, I think, to actually get the show on the road. So let's get this one underway, shall we? Just managed to squeeze in a slurp of coffee. Right, let's have a look. Yes, on yesterday's show, we all agreed, with the notable exception of Ken Hatcher, that the latest hydraulic breaker from Montebello was hot. So hot, in fact, that it's the first contender for our Product of the Year 2024, which we will be deciding amongst ourselves some point later in the year. Obviously, the judging for that is almost 12 months away, but I'd like to stir in another potential contender into the mix, and I believe this one really could crush it. Going to say a quick good morning to Garvin over at Mostly Diggers, who is watching today on Instagram. Morning, Garvin. Good of you to join us. Thank you for being here. Interesting story. I used to do the PR for Metso back in the day. In fact, I did it so long ago, they were actually known as Nordberg at the time. Coincidentally, and I don't know if anybody else remembers this, Nordberg was the character name played by O.J. Simpson in the Police Squad stories. I've digressed a bit. I was also at the UK launch of the Lokotrack Crusher back in, it would have been late 80s, 88, 89, something like that. It was an innovative product back then, but oh boy, have they come a long way. So that's just my opinion. What about you? You know what we're going to say? The new Lokotrack Crushers from Metso. Are they going to make it into the hot pot, or shall we never speak of them again? Are they hot or are they not? Need to get your answers, because it would dictate whether they go forward to the grand final at some point later this year. Let me know in the chat. While you're doing that, let me take that off the screen and let me go with, a little bit of this, I think.
If you are enjoying this episode, please consider supporting the show. You can leave us a tip at buymeacoffee.com/demolition news.
There was a time when my working day started the same every single day. Cup of tea, slice of toast, scan the newspaper. Today, the tea has given way to coffee because, frankly, I need a lot of help waking up these days. The toast has gone because I'm on a swine of a diet, and hell, who reads the newspaper these days? But if you're a Bobcat fleet owner, perhaps your working day starts a little bit more like this.
Seems like an ordinary weekend? No. For Mike, this is an ordinary workday. Managing the fleet of your machines doesn't have to be a tough task. It's all possible thanks to the new Machine IQ app. Now his entire fleet of Bobcat machines is in the palm of his hand. Accessible anytime, anywhere. Machine IQ offers complete information about your fleet, machine's location, service and maintenance details. You can even set the geofence breaches directly from the app to stop any unplanned trips. Stay connected with your fleet through Machine IQ from any device. Enjoy peace of mind, knowing all your machines are always productive, whether you're on a busy job site, having a long day in the office, or relaxing at home, so you have the time to do what matters the most. Bobcat Machine IQ, empowering you to achieve more and worry less.
Does anyone remember the old Zanussi TV ads? The appliance of science? Well, I think that's the appliance of technology right there. Top job, Bobcat, who, incidentally, by the way, are currently that much of a tech company that they're currently exhibiting at the Consumer Electronics Show, or CES, in Las Vegas as we speak. Also exhibiting over there, and I have been desperately trying to get hold of the video, Kubota have launched some kind of AI-driven machine. Based on the photographs, I can't even tell what the machine actually does. But if you'd like to go and have a look over on Instagram, I'm sure you'll be able to find them. Just go and search for Kubota and CES, and I'm sure you'll find it right there. Let's have a bit of this, shall we? I just want to do something very, very quickly. To all of those that are now watching me over, or watching us, should I say, over on Instagram, could you do me a favor and let me know where in the world you are watching from? Because I've got lots and lots of very exotic sounding names going through the chat at the moment. I'd love to know where you're watching. Where in the world are you if you're watching over on Instagram? Please let us know. Now, here on the Breakfast Show, we like us a Volvo high-reach excavator. We also like a bit of Volvo innovation and technology. But what if we could have the two together? Well, your wish is Volvo's command. Take a look at this.
So what we have here is the EC750E High Reach. We developed a lift mode for it. The idea with the lift mode is so that a contractor who has the machine doesn't have to bring a crane or another machine on site to help unload it when it gets delivered. And then in the reverse, if they're done at a job site and they want to load it out, this machine can load it out by itself without any other equipment. When lift mode is activated, then it automatically goes down to low idle. And then the rotating beacon comes on. And then also the lift mode is activated. So if you get overloaded, then an alarm will come on. So when you're loading the machine out, basically what you do is you disassemble everything and leave the extension on the machine, remove the counterweight. And then when the trucks come in, you basically pick up one piece at a time, whether it's the counterweight, the digging kit, or the high reach booms, and load them onto the trailers. Truck drivers strap them down and they drive off. But you have no other equipment needed, just the 750 high reach. So this feature was recently developed. Its debut is at the National Demolition Convention in Phoenix. So it's a new feature, and you'll start seeing it all in all the products, the 750 and then also the 380 and 480 high reach.
They really do think of pretty much everything, don't they? As Gary Muirhead, morning Gary, by the way, clever idea, Volvo, totally right. Graham Footy Williams, love it, excellent bit of kit. And Ken Hatcher reminds us, he has to remind me of this. Apparently, they love Volvo on the TV show Gold Rush, which I've still never seen. See, all part of my promise to be more focused on putting stuff out than bringing stuff in. That and the fact that I just never got round to watching it. Lots and lots of people tuning in over in Instagram land. We have viewers from, let me see, Australia, from Italy, from Brazil, from France, from Switzerland. That's all the ones I can see at the moment. So, yeah, proper international viewing audience today, which is fantastic to see. Tell you what, we've got another corker of a video coming up for you, so let's get this one out of the way, shall we?
Since the finance bill came into effect in April, the construction industry has seen a surge of fuel thefts. The rising cost of living has placed an additional risk of theft by employees and contractors, as well as opportunistic thieves. By using diesel dye and placing warnings of its use, you are sending a clear message that this is your fuel.
So, you have a wheeled excavator. Well, hang on a minute. I'm seeing double. Gary Muirhead is now tuning in from Bathgate on Instagram. So he's now you're actually getting this twice, are you? I would have thought once would be enough. But good morning, Gary. Thank you very much indeed for testing the Instagram feed for us. So where was I? Yes, you have yourself a wheeled excavator. It's a highly versatile machine, so it gets a hell of a lot of use and utilization. But after a few years, it started to look and feel just a bit tired. Now, you could sell it on. You could put it out to pasture, possibly in a less demanding role. You could even run it into the ground until it gives up entirely. Alternatively, if it's a Liebherr machine, you could just breathe new life into it. Yeah, I mean, I know Liebherr is not alone in offering a machinery manufacturing service, but that duck absolutely looks 100% as good as new. And oftentimes, that is exactly the case because they're using components that are newer, more up to date, latest spec, and everything else. So you could end up with a machine that's even slightly better than the one you originally purchased. Just want to say a very quick thing to Gary Muirhead. You mentioned the fact that you're watching from Bathgate. Isn't Bathgate one of the many places in Scotland that is mentioned in the song Letter from America by the Proclaimers? I'm fairly sure somebody says Bathgate no more. If you'd like to clarify, I'd love to hear from you. We've got one more film to bring you before we go into full chat mode. So stick around. I'll be back right after this.
If you would like to buy a limited edition Break Fast show sticker, head on over to buymeacoffee.com/demolition news/extras.
And we're going to play out today with a quick clip of a hopper being brought crashing down to earth, because who doesn't like seeing rusty old relics? Myself accepted, being put into their rightful place. Here we go. Bit of hopper toppling for you. Hope you like the music, because that was my choice on that one. Yeah, nice hopper coming down. Just want to post something over on Instagram just to remind everybody. My latest column has dropped just this morning, and it is called, off the top of my head, I can't do it off the top of my head. I've got to go and have a look. It is called All Take, Zero Give, and it's about how clients and major contractors, to my mind, seem to be surviving purely because they are being propped up by underpaying or not paying at all subcontractors in field of demolition and various other aspects of life as well. So if that's something you'd like to have a look at, please go and take a look. That pretty much wraps up the main part of this morning's show. That's the easy bit part, I guess, done. I'm going to roll the outro in just a second before leaping gazelle-like over into the chat to see what you're all saying today. If you can't stick around for that, then please stay safe. Look after yourself, your family, your friends and your colleagues. Look out for those floods if you are in England or Wales. But if you have the time and the inclination, please stick around because the Craic will begin immediately after this final word from our key show sponsor. And let me just check the time. Yeah, we've got another half an hour over on Instagram. So if you're watching over there, please, if you've got anything you'd like to share, any questions you'd like to ask, any gripes you'd like to air, please let us know. But here comes that final word from our key show sponsor. Good morning. Good morning. How are you all doing today? I'm going to go right back to the very beginning of the chat because that's only right and proper. And I tell you what, I'm going to switch glasses. Bear with me. Yes, need to be able to see what I'm doing for this part. Dan Cullen this morning discovered that if you're on YouTube, possibly on other platforms as well, but certainly if you're on YouTube, you can actually comment on the show before the show has even begun. And before the show started, he actually said, "Good morning to you wonderful people." And I responded, "We haven't even started yet," but that didn't stop him. First off the proper mark was Gary Muirhead. Morning, Gary, who says, "Good morning, Mark. Good morning, everybody." All the way from Bathgate in, I almost said sunny Scotland, which would be, frankly, a lie. I want to say Danny Walters. Good morning to Danny Walters over on Instagram, who I've just seen going through the motions there. Good morning to you. Now, who else have we got here in the chat? I know I saw lots and lots of people. So, Dan Cullen, oh God, it's like I've created a monster. So you can send in messages earlier. Oh, he says, I expect to wake to find lots and lots of those tomorrow. There's our friend Graham Footy with it. Morning, Footy. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. Chris Ford is also here. Good morning, campers and trampers. It's another fine day in Middle England, in Middle Earth, up around the Midlands, which is where I'm headed in February. Yes, the mighty JCB have thrown out the invite to get us press types up to JCB middle of next month, so keep watching. Ken Hatter is here. It is cold in Wales. It's pretty cold here. Yesterday was colder, definitely. No ice on the car this morning, but definitely cold. I'm going to say again, if you're watching over on Instagram, please let us know where in the world you're watching from, because today feels like a particularly international day, so I probably shouldn't be speaking purely about what the weather is doing here in England. Good morning to Jim Turner is joining us as well. Ken Hatcher says the ground is frozen hard on my site in Cardiff. That makes life doubly interesting on a weekday morning, doesn't it? Going back to the column that I discussed that I published this morning, exactly. Some companies, government, all take, no giving. Just to clarify, and again, I'm going to say this to our friends over on Instagram, because I'd love to get your take on it, on what the situation is like in other parts of the world. But here in the UK, we do seem to have a system whereby we let, and I'm thinking specifically about demolition here, but we let contracts, demolition and construction contracts, generally based on the lowest bid. Having then got the lowest bid, we've got an increasing amount of clients and tier one contractors who will then demand a further discount. They will then beat up the subcontractor to try and get the job done. You know, if a demolition contractor says it will take a month, they want it done in 2 weeks. So that's another additional thing. And then when the job is over and done with, you've either got a problem with retentions, i.e. sitting on some of the money, or you've got late payments, or possibly a combination of the two. And I've said this before, and I'm going to say it again. I don't understand how retentions can possibly work in the field of demolition. If you're a demolition contractor and your contract requires you to put a structure on the ground or get rid of it completely, once it's gone, and therefore that money is now owed. It shouldn't be a case of we're going to sit on the money for another 6 weeks while our surveyors give it a once over. You can plainly see, as plain as the nose on your face, that building is not there anymore. So pay up, please. All of that relates to the article that I've written today. It's called All Take, Zero Give. You can find it over on Demolition Insider, should you so desire. Our question of the day was this, and I'm just going to very quickly tell you this. As you know, most of the questions of the day last year were from Gary Muirhead, and I haven't agreed with Gary to give him any time off because I didn't think that far ahead. But over the Christmas period, or over the festive period, I did actually sit down with a notebook and I came up with an original 21 questions of the day. I'm now up to just over 30, I think. So lots and lots of questions. But Gary, I know you sent me some more, but please keep them coming because we will get to all of them, because I'm bound to run out at some point. But today's was, do you have a particular insult or put down that you either like, that you've used? We'll come back to it. And I realised that the button on my Stream Deck didn't work properly, which explains precisely why Ken Hatcher was struggling to understand it. I did actually repost it. Yes, good to see the JCB Digger Girl actually joining us over on Instagram. I am yet to meet her in person, but I'm looking forward to that. Hopefully she'll be around when we are up at JCB in about a month's time. Yes, question of the day. Typical Irish answer, bloody Egypts or you donkeys. Yeah, I like the fact that they're repeatable on a family show such as this. Chris Ford, slightly less repeatable, but I like it nonetheless. When working in a bed of roses, you will always get one prick. Ain't that the case? That there comment pretty much sums up my entire working life. Gary Muirhead, question of the day, and I really do. I'm going to note this one down, I think. There is some tree somewhere giving up its oxygen so you can breathe, you waste of breath. Yes, you should go and apologise to that tree, no question about it. Also, you can use that God-given gift between your ears, yes, your brain. Think on the actions that you've just done. Lots and lots. Keep them coming. That was the Lokotrack video, I think, that our friend Dan is referring to. Looks interesting, great video. And then there's a whole slew of hot. And I'm going to come to this in just a second. So Gary Muirhead says hot. Dan Cullen says hot. A bit further on, Footy says hot. And Ken Hatcher is holding out again. Yesterday we had him on to be a breaker, which I think we universally agreed was hot. Ken Hatcher said medium. Today, he is saying, as the weather is cold, not hot, but cold. Well, Ken, you're in the minority, and the Lokotrack crushers are going forward to our grand final. You can have your vote again when that rolls around sometime early in December. But yeah, I thought the Lokotrack crushers were very, very good indeed. Interesting story. As I say, I was involved in the launch of the original Lokotracks back at the back end of the 1980s, and it was a bizarre thing, and I realise competition within business is often frowned upon, but Nordberg, as was, launched the Lokotrack, and the industry went, oh, that looks quite interesting, but didn't really rush en masse to go and buy them. And then somebody else, and it may have been Power Screen or somebody like that, somebody else launched a track-mounted crusher, and all of a sudden the market went, so these are a thing then? And all of a sudden, sales of Lokotrack crushers went through the roof. Absolute storming machine back in the day. Looks even better today. So it is going forward. Jim Turner says, brilliant tech, especially the geofence. No, that's referring to the Bobcat video that we played. Gary Muirhead says, I wonder how many machines you can have on that Bobcat app. Hundreds, thousands? I would guess thousands. Yeah, if you were building that, particularly when you think about some of the plant hirers or the rental companies operating out of Europe, not necessarily out of the UK, but operating out of Europe, you will have companies that have got literally thousands of machines. You wouldn't want to limit it, would you? Particularly as they are buying lots. If they can afford to buy thousands of Bobcat machines, you wouldn't want to limit the capability of the app, would you? But yes, I tell you what, I'll drop an email to my mate VJ. He's probably in Las Vegas at the moment, doing the CES show, Consumer Electronics Show, and I'll come back to that in a second. But I'll ask the question, just on that subject of CES, doesn't that show how much this industry has progressed? CES in Las Vegas is usually the home of companies like Microsoft and Google and Apple and Samsung, real high-tech, Tesla, all high-tech companies. About 3 or 4 years ago, Caterpillar decided that they were high-tech enough to exhibit at the CES show. I think Komatsu followed them the year after. This year, Caterpillar are there, I think. Komatsu are there, Bobcat are there, Kubota are there. That goes to show just how much this industry is advanced. Just seen a comment from our friend Garvin over at Instagram, going back to my article from today. He says, stage payment agreements for all work, can't be financing somebody else's project. But that is precisely what smaller contractors are doing. And I said this yesterday, but I'll say it again. There's like a percolation of this problem within the demolition and construction industry. If you've got a tier one or a client at the top who is making unreasonable demands in terms of payment terms and that kind of thing, the major contractor that is working immediately below them then passes that down to subcontractor, who passes it down to his subcontractor, who passes it down to his subcontractor. So you end up right at the very bottom of the heap with somebody who is possibly a man with a van and a paintbrush or something like that, who is waiting 60, 90, 120 days to get paid. He is being victimised. And all of that victimisation is going towards propping up a company that is possibly turning over billions of pounds each year. Not right. Not happy about it. Go and read the article. Dan Cullen says, my day starts at 3:45. Quick run down through groups, get ready, out the door at 4:15. Walk to the station to get to work, as I do 16 to 19-hour days. Your job, I'm afraid, Dan, is the job of a young person, because I could not do that. 3:45 in the morning, I am dead to the world. I am in a sleep coma. Oh my God. An AI operated machine. Now that's going a bit too far. Again, as soon as I've got details on exactly what that Kubota machine is that they're showing over at CES, I'll be sure to bring it to you. I did spend a couple of hours last night trying to find it, and I was rather hoping that because today, because of the time difference, I was rather hoping that last night when Las Vegas came online, I thought I might be able to find some more details of it, but I couldn't. But I will bring that to you as soon as I can. I just want to say good morning to Tyson Recking, who's just joined us all the way from the US of A over on Instagram. Thank you very much indeed for being here. Let's have a look. We brought you that Volvo lifting system to get the high reach rig in place. Obviously popular, and Ken Hatcher pointed out that the Volvo brand very popular over on the Gold Rush TV show. I've seen the Gold Rush machine at ConExpo a couple of times. I saw in the distance the people that are on the show. Never actually watched an episode. I'll add it to my bucket list. Clever idea, Volvo. Do you expect anything else? Probably not. And there is Footy saying, love it, excellent bit of kit. Jim Turner universally agrees. That's the way. No waiting around to get set up. Yeah, and imagine, I mean, you've obviously got the time saving, you've got the cost saving. If you could do your lifting yourself, no need whatsoever to reach out and get a crane online, on the site rather. Let's have a look. Nice bit of kit. Nice kit, but it's time consuming. Well worth it. I'm waiting for those brands to have handler style lifting cab for demo machines. Footy says, talking about Switzerland, did you see that digger they sent to Switzerland for some show? I'll go and have a look for that. Yeah, we are. This is quite a weird one actually, and I'm still getting used to. I'm now having to watch two screens, so I've got Instagram over here and I've got our main show over here. We've done Instagram lives. I used to do a show over on Instagram called Talk Tuesday. Not surprisingly, it was a talk show and it took place on a Tuesday. And we used to have regular contributions from as far afield as Australia. And we had one guy who used to watch from Papua New Guinea almost without fail. Every single episode, the guy from Papua New Guinea was there. So I'm not surprised that we've got an international audience. It's just a nice reminder, bearing in mind, people like Tyson Recking who have just come online. I'm not entirely sure where Tyson Recking are. I know they're in America somewhere, but it must be early hours of the morning there, very early hours of the morning, and they've turned on the Instagram and they are tuning in, which is fantastic to see. Really pleased to see that. A couple of other people, Dan Jones over on Instagram has just joined us as well. So people are still pitching up. So going back to our discussions about all things remanufacturing, Jim Turner says that's far greener than scrapping machines and replacing them with new. Just nuts and bolts rebuild. Perfect. Yeah, it is. It is a fantastic solution. It really is. And I mentioned it in passing, but particularly with the CAT reman program, one of the things that they pride themselves on is they strip the machine back to its bare bones. And if there are components or parts that are more up to date, better quality, better standards and that kind of thing, they will use those new parts to replace the old. So yes, the machine itself has done thousands of hours, but some of the components in it are actually a better quality and a better specification than those that were on the original machine. So yeah, reman, absolutely, totally agree. Far better than the scrapping machines if you can help it. Dan Cullen says he's going back to work, but he's still listening. So stay right where you are. So, and I mentioned Gary Muirhead. He's up in Scotland. I know he's Glasgow based, but he mentioned over on Instagram that he was watching from Bathgate. And yes, that's right. It was a Proclaimer's letter from America, and I'm back again. He's back again over on the usual chat. If you are on Instagram and you'd like to join that general chat, we're on YouTube, we're on Twitter, we're on LinkedIn, and we're also on Facebook. That was the other one I was thinking of. You know, that little company Facebook, we're there as well. But yes, I did mention Gary was watching from Bathgate, and that is a line from the letter from America by the Proclaimers. Personal favourite of mine. I have a couple. In fact, I played a Proclaimers song at my dad's funeral, just because. Not. I did wonder. Okay, so we had earlier on we had a Hopper video, Hopper being felled on a demolition site. Looks like he's playing with it. Ken Hatter agrees. He's playing with that tank. If you can, why wouldn't you? Why would you not? Calling all CCDO labourers looking for work, let us know. Got a job looking for 20 in the London region on his groups. If you are, what's the best way to, well, you can see Dan Cullen is actually Dan, your man 360 degree over on YouTube. If you are a CCDO labourer and you're looking for work, and if you can get to London easily, Dan needs 20 of you. Now, ideally, so please go and have a word with Dan. There could be a job in it for you. Couple of latecomers, but always pleased to see them. Mick Norton's here. Good morning, Mick. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. And Peter McKenna, like the prodigal son, returns. Hope you're feeling better, Peter. I know you've been off suffering somewhat, but I'm glad to see you back up and about. And the show's not been the same without you. We were asking for repeatable insults or put downs, and Peter arrives and says wazzock. Wazzock is very northern. Somebody is a right wazzock. I realise that's a corker, and a pillock. That was one of my dad's favourites. Used to call me a pillock quite a lot. Question of the day: he's not as thick as he looks. Nobody could be that thick. There's no flies on him, but you can see where they've been. Total waste of oxygen. Cupid stunt, as in Kenny Everett. My list is endless. How did Kenny Everett get away with that? For those of a certain age, there used to be a show on ITV called the Kenny Everett Video Show, and in it he used to play lots and lots of different characters. Personal favourite of mine was Sid Snot, the punk rocker. I don't know if anybody else remembers that, but yes. But yes, Cupid Stunt. That was the name of an actress played by Kenny Everett. No idea how he got away with that. Peter, because of the way things are operating now, I can't actually acknowledge immediately because I've got two screens going on. So you can shrug your shoulders and turn towards the door because you're not much missed. You really were. I promise you were definitely missed. And I'll do better tomorrow, I promise. Do you fancy dropping me a note off to give to Lord Bamford so I can tell him where he's going wrong with his new 360s? I'm a JCB fan, not of the X series. Jim, there are very few things that I wouldn't do for you, but if you think I'm going to JCB to hand a note to a Lord of the Realm saying, Lord Bamford, yeah, JCB excavators are not meeting Jim Turner's standards. Sorry, Jim. No, I won't be doing that. I'll mention it to some of the product specialists. Maybe they'll give you a call. But I'm definitely not going to hand a note to Lord Bamford. I doubt very much. Well, I say doubt very much he'll be there. He's often there. Yeah. What about the risk to adjoining buildings after a demolition, which might require a period of monitoring and retention? It's a good point. It is a good point. But retentions also apply to buildings in the middle of bloody nowhere, where, the contract is take that building away, get rid of it, bring it down to slab level, and then you are owed your money. And sure enough, demolition contractor does that and is told, but retentions, we need to have that surveyed in 6 months' time. Dan Cullen says, Ken, you have to be an awkward sod. Wouldn't expect anything else. Wouldn't want him to change one bit. Chris Roll says, I have a 220X with 8,000 hours on it, gives very little grief. It's only the resale that lets them down. See that, and that's another reason. That and the fact that I don't want to be beheaded or something. That is one of the reasons that I wouldn't deliver such a note to Lord Bamford. Mick Norton says the post office debacle has illustrated that we place too much emphasis on technology rather than humans at our peril. Okay. I want to say something very quickly on the post office thing. And if you're watching from outside of the UK, which I know a lot of people on Instagram are, my apologies, but there was a TV show called Mr. Bates and the Post Office, aired on UK television screens about a week ago. And it highlighted the fact that there had been a lot of UK post office sub-postmasters had been prosecuted, some had been jailed, some even committed suicide over it because the computer system suggested that they were stealing money. Subsequently proved that they weren't. As a result, the former CEO of the post office yesterday handed back her CBE title, which belated. I don't know why it took us so long. But there's a thing that triggered with me on that. And it was the fact that day before yesterday, Rishi Sunak, the UK Prime Minister, came out and said that if there were moves to quash the criminal records of all of those post office sub-postmasters, he would fully support it. This is the most powerful man in the UK, and rather than doing the right thing, i.e. seizing back the CBE from the CEO of the post office, rather than setting the wheels in motion, he decided, what I'll do, I'll test the water. I will, if there is an inquiry, I will fully support it. Not get this done, I will fully support it. The reason I'm raising that is because that is precisely the approach that was taken by the NFDC and the IDE when it became clear that there'd been bid rigging going on within the UK demolition industry. 10 companies were fined a total of almost £60 million, and rather than taking action and being steadfast and being honourable, both the IDE and the NFDC basically waited to see what the outcome would be. And I'll tell you what the outcome is, shall I? Here's the thing. Yesterday it was announced that John F. Hunt, to my mind, a very good company, but John F. Hunt, one of the NFDC members that was found to be part of the bid rigging cartel that was going on a few years ago, they were subsequently fined. I can't remember how much they were fined, but they were fined. They were also the company that was running the project up at Redcar, in which 2 people were killed a couple of years ago. That investigation is ongoing. And then yesterday, John F. Hunt, with a double death against their track record and with this bid rigging prosecution and fine against them, posted a turnover and a profit that was up 40%. Obviously, I wouldn't want anyone at John F. Hunt or anybody else to be out of work. I certainly wouldn't want them to be unfairly treated. But what does that say about the industry, where you've got a company that has got an investigation ongoing about a double death, and you've also got a recent prosecution in which they were fined probably in excess of £1 million or thereabouts for their part in bid rigging, rather than the wider industry taking a step back and saying, maybe we'll give them a bit of a wide berth for a little while. Nope, they've just got more and more work, to the point where they now have 40% rise in turnover and profits. Doesn't seem to be a good thing to me, but then that's just me. Let's have a look. Peter McKenna says the post office debacle wasn't down to computer nor software, human error. Man was the problem and still is. Yes. The problem was, and I'm not going to get into it, I did watch the program, it's very good, and I will tell you very quickly that the program was very good. The fault originated with shortcomings in the computer program that was provided by Fujitsu. It's called the Horizon system, but then that was compounded by human error and humans trying to cover up errors and so on. Just as a very quick aside, maybe 10 years ago or thereabouts, there was a play being put on in a West End theatre in which Toby Jones, who was the star of Mr. Bates and the Post Office, he was going to be the star, and he was playing a demolition man. And he, I wouldn't say he, but the producers of the show reached out to me and said, our character, the main character is going to be a demolition man. Do you know a decent demolition man that we can speak to get a real take on how a demolition man might act or speak and that kind of thing? So I put them in touch with my mate John Woodward, who gave them some advice. As a result of that, he spoke to, I think he actually met up with Toby Jones and told him, various phrases and that kind of thing. As a result, John and his wife and myself and my wife were invited to the opening night of said play, which I can't remember the name of. And we went. It was good. Toby Jones is a fantastic actor, but we did the thing. We went into the bar afterwards, and out comes Toby Jones and the guy whose name has gone complete, Andrew Lincoln, who was the main star of the US TV show The Walking Dead. They were the stars of the stage play, and they came out, and we had a couple of beers with them, which is fantastic. Got nothing to do with demolition whatsoever, but there you are. And Network Rail in this country says that all road railers' machines must be revamped after 7 years old, says Gary Muir. Did not know that, but perfectly good idea. Gary Muirhead, going back to our question of the day on insults and put-downs. You can't teach stupid. I realise that's the phrase, and I realise that is the case. But the number of stupid people are about, it's almost like there are training courses. How to be doubly stupid. Mick Norton says, today snowflakes need a regular dose of Kenny Everett. Yeah, I agree. And what was the name of the dance group that he had? Hot Gossip. Remember Hot Gossip? I certainly do. Dan says, morning, Mr. McKenna. Jim Turner says, thought that might be your answer. I've already told a fellow that came out from the factory what I think. Yeah, as I say, not handing notes of any kind to Lord Bamford. I know better than to try and upset lords of the realm. Our friend Wolf Welder, who, as we now know, actually goes by the name of Garrett. Morning, Garrett. Thank you very much indeed for being here. You've arrived a little bit late. Lots of your countrymen watching over on Instagram, I'll tell you. Chris Ford says, picture no sound. Is my signal down? Or Houston, we have a problem. You are the only person that's complaining about a lack of sound, so I think it was just you. Jim Turner. Politics is just a popularity contest, and those feckless twats in Parliament will do anything to stay on the gravy train. Thus, injustice should have been sorted years ago. I totally agree. Chris Ford is all back, systems all going again. Has anyone spoken to Andy DeVell recently? No, I haven't. I haven't actually seen Andy on social media since Christmas, so I don't know whether he has taken an extra long period of break, fully deserved if he has. Not entirely sure what the situation is there. I am going to tell you very, very quickly that we've got another 5 minutes for anyone on Instagram, because as it stands at the moment, Instagram, our feed is limited to 1 hour. If we are still talking when the hour point comes, you can obviously hop over to Facebook or YouTube or Twitter or LinkedIn and carry on enjoying the show. Apparently, I just so you know, I use a system called StreamYard to send this show out. As it stands at the moment, as I say, Instagram is limited to an hour, while every other platform is not. But apparently there is a discussion going on between Instagram and StreamYard. So hopefully at some point we will be able to do, just run until the show ends, which will be handy because back end of last year, around about October time, I think it was, if anybody can remember exactly, we actually did a marathon show that ran to more than 4 hours. And in 2024, on my bucket list of things to do, I am planning to beat 4 and a bit hours. Don't know when, don't know where, but I know we'll meet again some sunny day. Yes, we will be doing another mammoth show at some point. Excuse me, in the not too distant future. Anyway, I was going to end the things over on Instagram early. There's no need to do so because I think I've run out of things to say. It looks like the chat over on our main show has run out of things to say as well. So I'm going to call it a day. I'll be back here again tomorrow, 10 a.m, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, and sharp as anything. So if you'd like to get a bit more of this under your belt, please feel free. 10 a.m. tomorrow, UK time. Excuse me 1 second. I've been holding that at bay the entire show, but we finally gave in. So yes, join us again tomorrow if you possibly can. Until then, I'll see you very, very soon indeed. Have a good one.